What's up, everyone? Welcome to our last day at Adobe's 99U conference here in NYC. I'm Kathleen and I'm hosting my new friend Jasmine Takanikos. Welcome. Hello, everyone. We've got people in the chat already saying hello. Awesome. Tim, how you doing? So Jasmine, this is your first time on our live stream, but you are a live stream veteran.
I wouldn't call me a veteran, but I have done one.
Okay,
Yeah.
She's got a little bit of experience, so total pro. Give her a shout out in the chat, let her know if you're watching. And we're gonna be chatting for the next 50 minutes or so about who you are, the awesome stuff that you do. I'm gonna let you introduce yourself first, because I think you could do a better job than I could.
Hi everyone, I'm Jasmine Takanikos. I own a design and branding firm called Candor Branding, and I have a personal positioning methodology and practice called Brand Human. I'm also an adjunct faculty at Parsons and teach and co-created a class called Centering Your Brand with Bliss Lau.
Oh, wow. That's a jewelry maker, right?
Yeah, she's
That's
an
awesome.
incredible jewelry maker.
Whoa.
She's also, I'm sure, watching.
Hi. Good to see you. Very cool. We've got Farhane watching. Cool. Carrie, Ronnie, how you doing?
Hello, everyone.
Yeah, so we're going to be talking about, you have a master class that you taught yesterday,
I taught yesterday, yes.
Awesome. So we'll kind of go through what that was all about and also just about your history, how you got started.
Sure.
Have you always lived in New York?
I am from a little island called Whidbey Island in the Pacific Northwest.
Wait,
Have you been there?
my old boss lives there.
Oh, amazing.
There's a lot of rabbits there, right?
Yeah. Well, there's a lot of amazing just like people and things and nature.
Yeah.
But I've lived in New York for about 17 years.
Gotcha.
But I travel a lot, so people are often like, where are you actually?
Yeah.
But I've lived in San Francisco as well, and early in my career, and I go between New York and LA quite a bit now.
Wow.
Yeah.
Jet setter. You need one of those little location markers on your Instagram. Like, where are you now?
Yeah, exactly.
Man, cool. We've got Thomas watching from Berlin. Very cool. Yeah, Adobe
Thomas.
Live says Bunny Rabbit Island.
Cool.
That's awesome. Cool. So can you talk a little bit about how you get started? How did you get where you are today?
Sure. So I was working in the fashion industry actually, in like product development and sales, and I decided I just didn't want to be there. I was quite young. I was in my early 20s, and I always had an affinity and a connection for advertising and branding and messaging, and I didn't even totally know what that meant completely, but I knew that I loved it. And long story short, I had the opportunity to start my own consulting firm at 26, and my first client was New Balance.
That's awesome.
A colleague basically came to me and said, if you start your consulting firm, we'll be your first client.
Oh, wow.
Because it just made sense for what I was doing and what they were needing, and I also at that point was very connected to culture and very connected to sort of like what was happening in fashion and trends, and so it all kind of came together.
Yeah, there you go.
That's how I got started. Very short version of that. But,
gotcha.
And at the time, actually, nobody was really a strategist. Right now, everyone's a brand strategist, and everyone is doing that, and it's a huge part of the dialogue. And at the time, I kind of didn't know what I was completely.
Right.
And I was kind of formed more through my talents than through a specific industry.
Got you. So when you first started that and you started working with New Balance, what exactly were you doing? Were you starting from the ground up, working on campaigns, all strategy?
It's a privately held company, and they kind of took me into a lot of meetings that they felt I'd be helpful in.
I see.
So I was lucky enough to be in product development and some of the sales and some of the PR strategy work, and it was a long time ago, so it was a really different market.
Yes.
But it did help groom me in becoming the strategist that I am today, and the creative strategist. I have kind of an issue with roles right now. I think that creative is in all of our titles on many levels. But it definitely groomed me.
Got you. Yeah, it's interesting. Poki Han, I don't think we're going to be looking at Behance's today, but keep an eye out for those. Thank you, Tim, for posting that.
My business partner, Michael Malloy, who's my partner in my agency, Candor Branding, has an incredible Behance profile.
Oh, really? Awesome.
So you can look at his.
Awesome. Is it under Michael Malloy?
Yeah.
Awesome. Search that on Behance. Perfect. Then we have a couple of your sites open. There's Brand Human, there's Candor Branding, and the Instagram. It seems like you have your hands full. All the things you're doing.
Yeah, I do, but it's all, listen, I'm lucky. I get to do what I love every day.
Yes.
I get to solve new problems. I get to be around incredible clients in all different industries. I get to be in the field of education, which is a huge passion. I get to collaborate with people I'm so, inspired by, really, truly inspired by. I've always believed that community is the connectivity point for all things, and it's reciprocity based and connected. And so I wouldn't be here where I am right now without community and without the talented people that I surround myself with.
Yeah,
Yeah.
That's awesome. I love that. And I think that's something that is starting to blossom a little more in the creative community. Like, you need people. You don't need to...
Yes. This is, I think, a human thing.
Yes, that's very true. Brand human, it makes sense. Oh, thank you, Glenn. Hiroshi, hello. So can you talk a little bit about Brand Human? And it's a method, as you're saying.
Method, and it's a sort of a foundational practice, meaning that I have over 50 principles, and actually for this masterclass created more around how we think about positioning self. So, for example, this idea of boundaries and where they come into your work and how they come into your work and how they're connected to your work, the idea of the company you keep, the idea of ode to hours and time management. These are all really base foundational sort of terms that have endless lessons for constantly going back to the work and evaluating it.
Gotcha.
So it's a system that is much more foundational.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Got you. Very cool. And you also have Candor, which seems to be more of the actual projects that are being created with this method.
Yeah, we're doing branding projects. That's what it's not just Brand Human at Candor. That's Michael Malloy. He's my business partner. What we're doing is really combining strategy and design in a very smart way, we think, to create branding that's actually used and activated in our clients' work.
Got you. So
That's beautiful as well.
Yes, right. We were looking at some of the thumbnails, and I wanted to actually pull this up. Is there any specific project recently that has really resonated with you or has an interesting origin story?
Oh gosh, that's such a good question.
All of them.
I would say that, we're in the business of creating design for, again, a lot of different kinds of industries and clients. So they each have their unique challenges and their unique inspiration points.
Yeah.
But I would say we rebranded the Nantucket Chamber of Commerce, which is sort of like branding the island, which was an interesting project regarding just like politically community oriented, like how do you look at what they need.
Yeah.
But really, every project is quite interesting.
Yes.
We do a lot in the wellness space, we do a lot in the lifestyle space, we do a lot in the restaurant space. Totem was a really favorite project of mine as well, which they're sound designers in Los Angeles, Star Wars, Arrival, things of that nature. And we did some really interesting work for them as well.
Nice. So chat, if you want to check out Candor Branding, it's Candor_branding on Instagram. You can see all kinds of work.
What is the best way for a brand to find a unique point of view?
Ooh, from Bliss Lau. Thank you, Bliss Lau.
I think that uniqueness comes from being and what you are. So this idea of creating something unique that doesn't already exist is a difficult proposition. But I also think that brands are not people. Right? This idea of like brands becoming more human is interesting to me and also absurd. Because they're not human. I understand that they maybe need to become more connected, but I think a way for a brand to really find that is to listen to their advisors, and not to have too many hands in what you're doing with your positioning or your design. Because positioning and design creates the thing that is something I call vibratory resonance. which is a brand human principle around attraction and connectivity. That's what you're talking about when you're talking about human. But oftentimes I see that brands just have too many people with an opinion.
Yeah.
And that just creates sometimes mediocre and dull work.
Oh, interesting. So this idea that a lot of people are saying that they are their own brand, is that feeling absurd to you?
No, because that's a little bit of a different conversation, because that's about people looking at your work and your overall voice and your overall sort of portfolio and everything you do as the thing that people are interested in.
Yeah.
You know, so, but it's also sort of just like rhetoric, right? Like, what does that totally mean? Well, it means like be connected to the work, understand what work you put out there and what happens. Where it goes, how it lives, what you do personally, how that affects your professional stance on things, all of that.
Got you. Yeah, Bliss is coming in with all kinds of great questions.
I know, Bliss is always the most amazing.
That's awesome, being a really great partner in crime.
Yes.
Wondering about managing boundaries as designers. Is that one of the other principles, perhaps?
Yeah, for sure. I think, you know, with designers and boundaries, it's a very important piece of things, because at the end of the day, it's how you create your best work, right? Where how you set up a relationship is how the relationship functions. And so with a client, teaching them and educating them, Bliss and I were actually discussing this last night, how to actually give you feedback on your work and what they're looking at and how to understand design and how to understand all the different components of design, like pattern or color or whatever it is. Helps you as the designer to get the work you want in your portfolio and to benefit the client. Right.
So is there a specific way that you feel like you receive feedback that you've kind of nailed down over the years? Your language?
That people have given me feedback?
Yeah, like the way that you prefer to get it.
I prefer to have things like all in one area, like meaning like, if a client has a specific, first of all, I don't text back and forth about feedback with clients if I can really avoid it. And it's mainly like make the time, put the email together and connect. Because when you make the time, I make the time, we're coming in a very intentional way to the work and giving the work the attention it deserves.
Right. That hopefully avoids kind of editorializing feedback as well and just being like, I kind of feel this way one day and this way another.
Exactly.
That's great. Yeah, Jason, if you have any specific questions, please feel free.
I love this
to ask.
This Italian comment.
Oh yeah, do you understand?
Beautiful typography, human brand. Thank you, Christian.
Awesome.
Appreciate that.
Great. So is that specifically maybe here and here?
Or for Candor and Candor.
Yeah.
Cool. Thank you.
Definitely. Really? We're getting schooled in branding, says Alberto. Yeah. That's what's going on here. Awesome. So maybe you could talk a little bit about your masterclass.
Sure.
And
what happened yesterday?
Yes, what happened yesterday? How'd it go, first of all?
Great.
Yeah?
It was a lovely group of people, and I think that's a big question, inspiration, and how to find it, how to keep it, how to create it. So it was a great challenge to think about those things, and I actually created a lot of new work. So that was really amazing. And I feel that everything we do is high design. So we launched a lot of new principles, and I hope that connected with the audience. You know, I love doing interactive work.
Gotcha.
I love asking questions. I love knowing sort of who's in my audience. I have something called Genius in the Room, of like really understanding who's here and what you need.
Yeah.
So that's not as, when you're talking at a group in a master, like in that kind of environment, it's kind of hard to know. So I hope it went well.
Yeah.
I feel like the people were really smart, and I asked incredible questions around like, how do you actually take this inspiration and then put it into action?
Right.
And you know, one of the things that I tried to talk about a lot is that the inspiration is found in frameworks and time. Meaning that you have to just allow for it versus look for it.
Okay.
Because oftentimes when we look for it, it's not there, right? It's like you're starting a client project and you're like looking for the thing, but then you're swimming in the ocean and you find it then, right? So it's just like, making the right time.
I see, and I feel like that's counterintuitive because people might feel crunched for time. They're like, how could I spend time just waiting when I have this urge to search?
Right, or get off the internet.
Yes, just turn it off.
Get off the internet and take a walk and allow like the mind-body connection to happen, or go do something else, go see art. This is all sort of obvious stuff, but this is when we become multidimensional beings. We're not supposed to just like sit in front of a computer and only source via Pinterest.
Yeah, right.
Or Behance.
Right.
Although incredible places for inspiration,
Yeah.
I think more they should be places to kind of evaluate, look at what's in the market, see what artists are doing. But I deeply don't believe in using an image for like copying an artist's image. We're really against that.
Yeah.
Like it's one thing to be inspired by someone's work, but you should do your own work. And that's just separating inspiration from copying is important.
Yeah. So Chat, if you have any good examples of when you found inspiration just in everyday life, let us know. I think that's definitely a thing artists fall into, especially younger. Not maybe age-wise, but starting in your career, you just want to look at what everyone else is making.
Yep.
Of course.
Totally.
That can be tough. Bliss is always coming in with other great
What
questions.
did she say this time?
What is the importance of divergent thinking, and maybe even what is divergent thinking to you?
Yeah, divergent thinking is really just thinking about things from new angles and new perspectives, and often not thinking about the exact thing that you're needing to solve, right? So it's like taking the new path and finding the new path on some levels. I also firmly believe you could get inspiration from the industry you're not in.
Oh.
So I don't tend to look directly at the branding market for information about the branding market. I'll look at finance market, I'll look at wellness, I'll look at other things to look at what's happening more in branding. I think that there's a lot of information in culture in general.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's where a lot of the humanness
Exactly.
will come from. That's great. Stefan says it's a small gate between inspiration and copying.
Yeah, and there is that kind of like general overall thing is like, is there any original work, right? Is there really any original work? And could be argued no, potentially, right? But I think it's how you go about creating the work, right? And how you go about sitting there and going, okay, like, this is gonna come from me, right? This is gonna, and checking yourself and making sure you do know your colleagues' work and that you're just creating something different. But it is a fine line, absolutely, 100%.
Yes.
And I respect that. It's not an easy thing.
Yeah, I'm glad it's not an easy thing, because I think just looking for the visual imagery that your colleagues are making as like an answer, that can be the easy thing too. Take that other path. That's great. Great questions, Bliss Lau. I'd like to hear a little bit more also about how you formulated a class. Like, you are a teacher.
I am a teacher because of Bliss.
Yeah, thanks, Bliss.
Bliss was a teacher before me at Parsons. It's her alma mater.
Gotcha.
She graduated and sold her first collection right out of school.
Wow.
Has been a designer her entire career. And at the time, she was teaching a course in accessories design. And we started to become colleagues, and we worked together. And she was like, I think it really makes sense to add strategy to the design conversation. Long story short, we've now been teaching together for 8 years. We've created our signature course. We also created a bit of our own lane at Parsons with the intensive learning program, which came from our insight for doing a lot of lectures and master classes kind of all over the world around how adults need to learn, which is, it's much easier, we think, to, and we know now from the learning outcomes for adults to commit to 3 weeks of a Saturday for three consecutive Saturdays where they just take a really deep dive into their work.
Gotcha.
It also creates community within the class, which is really important and key to learning.
Wow. So it seems like you said, education's a big passion of yours.
Yes.
Has that always been the case for you? Did you ever want to be a professor, a teacher?
Such a good question. I don't, I guess that I've always really admired teachers and professors. I've had amazing teachers myself, but I think that education makes you create work that is meaningful, and it makes you test the work and connect to the work. And at Parsons, we have adult students from all over the world, so every single time I teach, I think about what might be relevant, and then you have a student from China or Japan and you see how it hits, or Russia or whatever. So it's such a huge piece of what I do. But I don't know if I was like, this is what's going to happen forever. I knew that like the moment I did it, I wanted to keep doing it. It was such a challenge. It was so intense.
Yeah.
Continues to be, but you know, so.
Yeah, it seems like a big responsibility. Do you feel responsible that they come away with something, or is it more you
Absolutely.
provide? Yeah.
Oh no, absolutely.
Yeah.
If someone's going to take their time to be in front of me and work with me, they're absolutely going to come away with something profound. But that's up to them.
Yeah.
Because we have the lessons, we have the learning, we have the connection. We show up 100%.
Yeah.
But they ultimately have to dive into the work. It's not an easy process. We have a framework at Centering Your Brand that literally creates an entire brand in 3 weeks.
Whoa.
Not like you have your logo and you have all of this, but you understand all of the components of everything you need to have to actually present a brand, to build it, to think about product development, think about design thinking, to think about strategy, positioning, your own personal brand, like social media strategy, you know, it's a full holistic process that we've created with Centering Your Brand. And we're actually launching a podcast that's happening soon.
Wow.
So everyone stay tuned for Centering Your Brand for that.
Cool.
You can sign up for the Brand Human newsletter, and we'll be launching all of that soon.
Very cool.
But Bliss and I decided to take the class into a podcast because we need to be able to reach a lot more people too.
Yeah. Wow.
It's powerful learning.
That is something I would love to
Yeah.
be in on.
Absolutely,
That's awesome.
We'd love to have you.
Very cool. So are you also a podcast consumer? Do you find inspiration in that way?
Yes.
Yeah,
yes.
I'm wondering if you try to listen to more divergent topics from the branding sphere. What do you like to listen to?
I listen to a lot of like Sounds True out of Boulder, Colorado. I like her a lot. I like all the NPR podcasts. They're always interesting. How I built this, and I also tend to listen to a lot that my colleagues will send me. Whatever it is. I mean, we have clients and friends all over the world that do different things. Yeah. So I tend to be into things around psychology and around thinking and positioning. I mean, it's just sort of what I like.
I was going to say, that doesn't surprise me.
Yeah.
That's very cool. Chat, let us know what you're into. And as we can see on the screen, we've got some fireworks happening. Very exciting. So it is time for the Chat and Win. Super exciting time of the stream where we're going to be giving away a Tattly temporary tattoo set. Do you know
cool.
Tattly? Yeah, awesome. So we have the set over here. We've got the cool, nerdy cursors, the good color stuff, feathers, very cool. So the way that you're going to enter for this giveaway is we're going to ask you a question and you will answer it in chat. So I'm wondering, is there anything that you would like to know about the people watching?
Yeah, I think, you know, what do I want to know about the people watching?
It could be anything.
Are you all illustrators and branding? What do you guys do?
Yeah, let us know. We'll be back in a moment. Woo. We're back.
Oh.
Yeah, no, feel free. We can talk about it. So we are just waiting on that magical name to appear, and then we have the answers coming in chat as well. So we have Wendy saying that they have no illustration skills yet.
Okay.
So I like that yet.
Big illustrator.
Big illustrator
Product
energy.
development with tech consulting. All right, nice, Todd.
Awesome. Yeah, Kita, I've seen your illustrations. You're definitely an illustrator. I draw for fun. Cool, we have our winner in the chat. Carrie Thomas, congratulations.
Do you guys want to ask me something about branding or positioning? Are you curious about what it is to connect online and think about how you get work, what people think of your work? Like any questions around that?
Yeah.
You have me.
You have her hostage.
We also have an accountant. Awesome.
Wow.
Listen, at the end of the day, like Brand Human, this methodology is for every single industry. This is absolutely not just for design. People that are in my classes are doing all kinds of work. Personal positioning is relevant no matter what you do at this point.
Yeah, definitely. I think the idea of getting work is an interesting thing. In chat, let me know if I'm on the right track. But especially coming right out of school, because I know a lot of the people here are really fresh into the world. what would you say? Do you take every job that you're offered? Do you try to curate even if you're just starting out?
This is a great question. The work you take will make the work you end up making, right? Like the work you take ends up giving you those referrals and everything that leads to the rest of it.
Yeah.
So if you're just starting out, yes, sometimes you do have to take that work, but if it's not interesting to your aesthetic or really in your talent set, then you need to be continually working on your own work and putting it out there.
That's such a great point.
Because at the end of the day, it will start to mimic your work. The client work you do will start to mimic the work you actually do if you don't continue to develop.
Yes. Yeah, I think that's so tough for people because they're saying, I'm using all my time to...
This is not true.
This is not true,
This is never
she
true.
says.
I mean, at the end of the day, yes, but then sometimes you have to then look at your priorities, like why is it taking all your time to do work that you might not be 100% into, right? So maybe you do work smarter, a little less harder.
Oh, I'm always down for that. That's great. Marissa's wondering specifically, how do you make creative connections?
Yeah, I mean, community, right? You go to things and you say hello to people that you don't know, and you get yourself out of the box and you connect, and it's always a bit nerve-wracking, but going to meetups, going to films that you love, doing things outside of your industry that you absolutely love that are creative, and connecting to people.
Yeah.
I'm in the process of moving to DC from California. Okay. It's always a big thing moving, and it's always such an exciting piece of starting a new community, a new life. And my opinion on meeting people and connecting is the same.
Yeah.
Like finding things you're into, and there will be like-minded community there. As far as finding clients or freelance or getting hired with a company, do your research before you get there. Who are you really thinking is doing excellent and interesting work, even if you have to come in at a lower level and work your way up? Absolutely. When you're devoted, and you'll see results from that.
Yeah. Good luck, Guadalupe. That's awesome. Danny, what is the most important question you ask to find brand positioning?
What is the most important question you ask? Well, there's not one question.
I was going to say,
in order to
like
find brand positioning, there's several questions usually, and there's a process. But one of the key questions is understanding goals, actually. Like almost future fitting and future understanding where the brand's supposed to go and wants to go and what is the brand connected to.
Yeah.
It's actually really key and important.
Right. Wow.
But there's a lot of questions, and it depends who the brand is too, That's the thing is it's not a sort of one-size-fits-all situation.
Yeah, definitely agree.
I have a hard time meeting people in person. I'm a shy introvert. I totally understand. I understand that. It's a practice like anything else. Like Brand Human, the methodology is called a practice for a reason.
Right.
Like anything, like you running, yoga, connection to anything you do, you have to do it daily and consistently. So I'd actually recommend you do 30 days of every day trying to meet someone and say hello. Where you start to work it into your nervous system. But you absolutely have to work on it or it just will not change.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean you have to change yourself. My brother's an introvert and a designer, an illustrator, and shy, but what he does, I notice, is he uses his style to kind of put a bit of a armor around him to connect.
That's me.
So that can be also helpful.
Yeah.
Get a really interesting style going and feel confident. And is there a social media platform that connects with creatives the most on? I would say Instagram.
Is there a reason?
I mean, Instagram's the most visual social place. I think at the end of the day, I think it's the best for creative. I think Behance is obviously the top of the top, but it's more of a portfolio-based network, right? So it's a little bit different than a social network.
Yeah.
But you should absolutely, as a creative, work on your Behance profile because it makes you create a curated portfolio. That's one of the most brilliant things about Behance, and it always has been.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. And I think someone else was asking specifically about when you're laying out your projects and your portfolio, how would you recommend case studies, kind of sleek, no information?
This is absolutely individual.
Yeah.
Because how you lay your portfolio out is how you present your portfolio and how you speak to your portfolio and what you want people to see first and how you feel comfortable presenting it.
Right.
It's your moment to actually have like almost like a mini narrative with self as you're doing portfolio. And projects you're excited about are some of the best projects, or projects that you accomplished a goal in, or you pushed past a boundary, because you'll sound connected to the work. Because portfolios should also be presented.
Yes.
There should be a voice behind, But as far as if it's just online and it's just, I would get other colleagues to weigh in. Other people should look at your work. It's incredibly helpful.
Yeah.
I mean, Michael, he's, we do all of that work together. We constantly like, what do you think? Oh, I didn't see that. Oh, actually that moment. Oh, there's a lot that goes into why you show what you show, and when something's a finished project or finished product.
Right.
There's a lot of talk at the conference kind of about this idea about how design work used to be like start and finish, right? It used to be completed.
Yes.
And in Brand Human, there is a principle I have called the completion cycle, which is kind of the idea of the health of completion, where we don't have that as much now, right? Like clients are like, oh, I need that, I need that, I need that, I need a lot more campaign work, or so there's constantly a wave, but when you complete, there's a healthy cycle of criticism, of understanding, of knowing, do I want to do more of this work? Am I connected to this work? It's just a much more connected conversation.
Right, and now everyone, I feel, is getting their appetites whetted.
Business
lots
owners
of
know they need help, but they get lost in the definition. Noise, digital marketing. I don't know how to approach this. There's so much noise about telling you what to do with your business. But I think that at the end of the day, like anything else, you read a lot and you decide for yourself what feels right. This idea of the felt sense, which is a really nice term in relationship to your business. How does it feel when you read it? Does it feel like, oh my God, this is an emergency? Does it feel fight or flight? Does it feel exciting? Does it feel interesting? And then actually look at like why you feel those things and then work from there. Also, building a business and business development is constantly changing and shifting, but one thing stays absolutely true, which is if you add value and you're connected to your value, like marketing and how to do marketing is like secondary. Because real marketing is referral based, is people being advocates for you, is loving your work and talking about your work. And the way I'm up here today is I've had enough people attend my work, be part of my work throughout the years, that I have a lot of advocates, and that's like a very valuable thing. So work towards advocacy.
Yeah, I feel like specifically in the freelance world, that is how people say that they get work. Referrals, my friends, having good relationships. It's not they're getting sponsored posts on Instagram. And
listen, I mean, there is, in my experience, as a creative shop in branding, do we get a lot of great clients through the internet? No. We get a lot of amazing clients through referrals, but that's not true for everyone. And you have to decide what's best for you. In fact, we often don't have time to post anything. We haven't posted anything new for a while because we're very busy doing a lot of work and projects, and we're in the work. I know that's hard advice when you're just starting out. When you're just starting out, try a lot of the different things, but again, tune into your felt sense of what feels right for your work. Yeah,
people are saying this is awesome. This advice is mind-blowing. Thank you for bringing this to us.
Oh, you're
got
so
some
welcome.
Fans. That's awesome.
I think that too, like being a creative and being connected to your creative spirit is something you have to protect, and that's why you have to be strategic in how you put your work out and how much time you actually spend marketing versus how much time you spend incubating your craft and working on your craft. When you no longer feel connected to the work, you have to say goodbye. With a long-term client, what is the best way to say bye-bye? I have done this, I understand this. The best way to do it and the most respectful way to do it is to see if you can offer a referral. Or also say that you're not concentrating on that kind of work anymore, and that you also need to try to leave them with enough tools to figure it out. So it's education based, right? This is how I think, and this is why I did what I did, and I would encourage you to continue this on. I don't believe in burning bridges. I was
like, wait, what?
My career. I, as much as I really try to stay in the positive with things. And it might be rough cycle because people don't like to be dropped. But
it's kind of natural.
Thank you, Todd.
Wow.
I appreciate that.
So sweet.
How to get more inspired in an industry and environment that feels like we are having some ideas but different visual graphics.
Okay, so the same idea but different wanted styles or graphics.
I don't know. I think that's individual.
Yeah. Yeah, that's
You're welcome,
true.
Wendy.
That's awesome. Very cool. Jasmine dropping some real pearls on us.
I don't know. Anyone have like any other questions around brand human or positioning? You know, I encourage all of you, no matter what it is, whether it's brand human or another form of practice, to get into the cycle of evaluating your business all the time in the creative industries, because at the end of the day, it's such a pleasure to know if you need to shift markets, or if you need to change your product offering, or if you want to slightly change your illustration style,
Right.
or if there's a new market. I mean, literally every day I'm on the phone with Bliss talking about our business.
Yeah.
I would say that, I mean, find yourself a colleague like Bliss Lau. I don't know. I mean, find yourself a colleague. Find yourself a colleague that you're so connected to, that you're so honest with, that can constantly help you evaluate things. I mean, literally last night she was like, "Oh, here's a new market." She's like, "And something you're super connected to." And I'm like, "You're absolutely right." But if you're not doing that dialogue enough and you're not connecting enough, you won't have you starting over every time, right?
Yeah.
And then you get all the ideas and all the overwhelm. So find a colleague that you're kind of constantly connected to and constantly building with.
Right. This is a great question from Colby. How do you even start learning the process of working with a client for the first time?
Sure. So this is a human issue, right? So
Seems like they all are.
Yeah, they all are. Hence, brand human.
Yes.
I really like to get to know my clients and connect to them. I like to know their style, right? Like, are they kind of running at high anxiety? Are they running at a lower anxiety? Are they really busy? Like, what's the style of this person? And then setting up the right kind of container for that. Also making sure they're part of your process, like I talked about earlier. Setting up a process that's just super, super streamlined and connected to what makes the work the best for you is everything.
Yes. Right, this kind of goes along with it. Someone tuning in from Ireland, awesome.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, any tips for developing a bespoke design methodology?
Oh, beautiful question.
Yeah.
So, easy one, no worries. Bespoke design methodology. I think that design is a language, and often it comes from the heart.
Yes.
And so you have to be interconnected to that felt sense. You have to be interconnected to what matters to you in the world. There's a lot of talk right now around purpose. I think if you look at purpose, you can find that bridge to what it means to care about something bespoke, or all bespoke really means, right, is specialty or high touch. Anything high touch requires you. So, that seems like a big, big thing to say, but it's really kind of the only way. Like, not to go back to Bliss again, but she's a good example. She's my colleague, I teach with her. At the end of the day, like, every time she creates a new design, she creates a new thing. Like, sometimes it's taking years on the work, sometimes it's completely rethinking something. It's in process that you create anything bespoke or high touch. It's not in the thinking, it's in the doing. And in the doing is the knowing, which is a brand human principle.
Oh, perfect. It circles back effortlessly. Yeah. That's amazing. Carrie's wondering about using empathy in design, and I feel like that's probably a pretty huge thing. Oh, that's
such a lovely, yes. Well, gosh, the world needs so much of that empathy right now, and compassion. Depending on what kind of design work you do, I think there's always a moment to think about and look at empathy. Is there a specific reason why you asked that question? I'd be more interested in that. Like, why is empathy important to you? Or did you have a specific thing with a client that you needed to connect on in that way?
Yeah, let us know, Carrie. Bliss says, Jasmine is mega incredible.
Thanks, babe.
Such a good connection. I feel it.
Have you ever dealt with a client that you create a whole work week and then until the end they want you to start over? Yes, of course. Like, so the question was, you spent a whole week on something, they want you to start over. But I hate to say that, but that's kind of your fault. Oh. Because at the end of the day, when a client misbehaves, we have to look back to us.
Yeah.
So if they need you to start over and that's in the contract, that's okay. Then you just kind of go back. If they're asking you to start over and you're not going to get paid again, that was up to you on how you started that relationship. So sometimes those things are hard to hear because we're not really used to, as humans, taking responsibility for ourselves in a way. Like a lot of times creatives, like they just don't want to see the hard stuff because it's painful. It's from you. It's work from you. It's hard.
Yeah.
But you have to develop a little bit of an understanding of criticism and how to do the business stuff. And if you don't know it, tune into centering your brand. You know, like we're going to be really dropping like the heavy business dev, heart-connected design work.
Yeah, that's a question that's kind of been rumbling around my brain. It seems like you are very invested in process, and I'm wondering, what has the failure process been like for you in the past? Have there been big failures, and how have you moved on from them?
I mean, you know what? I look at all the things that didn't work or whatever as learnings. How have I moved on? I believe in myself.
Yeah.
I mean, I just believe in myself, and I continue to believe in myself.
Yeah.
And I continue to do things that aren't comfortable.
Yeah.
But, you know, I'm always kind of failing and learning and building and winning and failing and building and winning. And right now in my career, like there hasn't been any big moments, but I'm 38 at this point. I haven't also launched the next big thing, right? I launched my agency, my firm, a few years ago with Michael, and that's going very, very well, and a lot of gratitude for that. But Brand Human's also growing at a rapid pace, so who knows what will happen next and the learnings there.
Yeah, that's great. And
if you guys have any questions too about like, or suggestions on what happens with Brand Human, I would love to hear from you, and I'd love to hear from you via my website because I'm building a program for you, for creatives, for the creative process, and you're absolutely a huge part of it.
That's awesome. Take advantage of that, everyone. That's great. Lindsay's wondering, she works as an in-house designer for a printing company, and they rarely get to develop initial concepts. So she's having it difficult when she gets a project with creative freedom. Oh, wait. Okay. So maybe like it's too much creative freedom when she actually does get the project. How do you start?
You know, that's such a like, it depends on what's happening in that exact project. But I also think like you have to meet your project where it's at.
Yep.
It also goes back to process, right? If you're in-house somewhere, maybe looking at saying, hey, you know what, can we change this process? Is there any way to shift this process for the better? Remember when you always, when you pitch someone on your new idea of how things should go, you always need to start with why it benefits them, why it benefits the company, why it benefits the client. You never start with why it benefits you. It's actually a massively, that's game-changing advice. So maybe, Lindsay, like going back and saying, hey, the process of getting this work at this point isn't as efficient. Can we maybe change this, or can we shift this, or can I do this work that makes the work more interesting?
Right.
Evolution is the new consistency is also a Brand Human principle, which Bliss is saying, and this is like exactly to the point. Like how I've continued to stay in my work, because you actually just to stay in your work, you have to be always future fitting your work, is to evolve.
Yeah, definitely, and that can be, I'm sure, scary for people. To change. Kita's saying that even if Kita has to fire a client, she feels like she failed them.
Oh, well, maybe you did, and that's okay.
It's okay, yeah.
At moments like, you know, we have moments of feeling like sad, we have moments of feeling good, we have moments of feeling awesome. I mean, this is a human experience.
There's
I mean, this is not like, creative work is not joyous all the time. It's interesting, it's dynamic.
Yes.
Stay dynamic.
That's very true. Yeah, not something to be scared of.
How do you educate a client who seems to be lost on job requests and many layout options?
Well, scattered.
I just talked about this with Bliss.
Did you?
That depends on your design process, but you should also just educate them on the process of design and branding. Just get them into that.
Yeah, and that also goes back to what you were saying about how it's sometimes your fault when things don't go well.
Yeah.
Because it is your job to be an educator, even if you are designing.
What is the challenging between branding collaboration and with branding and to collaborate with an illustrator? That's an excellent question. We do most of our illustration work in-house. Mike does most of this work for us, and almost all of it actually. And we believe, though, in letting artists be artists. Okay, so if you hire an illustrator, I was just talking to Deb Rosen from Wieden & Kennedy about this yesterday. It's like, if you hire an artist, let them be that artist.
Yeah, I agree.
Because
as an
then
artist.
you get the best work from that artist, right? So there's one thing around kind of some direction of the brand and education, but really at the end of the day, it should come back to that artist's touch.
Yeah, definitely. These questions are great. Like I said, people are getting a little excited. I love it. Very, very cool. That's awesome. It's all learning experiences. Yes, agreed. Oksana, we are chatting with Jasmine about everything, it seems. Brand positioning, strategy, being yourself as a designer. You said you wanted to chat a little bit about your partners and the kind of relationships that you've had.
Sure. So, like I said before, community has been a really important piece of everything I've done. I've done over 100 plus talks.
Yeah.
I've done talks at Soho House all over the world for a long, long time through that membership base, which has been really amazing. I've spoken at Create and Cultivate. I've spoken at the Uplift Project. I've spoken with colleagues from Rock Nation. I've spoken at Adidas. But like, the more you kind of do that, the more you put yourself out there with partnerships, the more you learn. As you can see in my partnerships page on Brand Human, like, there's so many different kinds of people I've collaborated with, and that's made my methodology, in my opinion, like, much more dynamic.
Yeah, seems like it. This is such a great thing that you can show.
Yeah, exactly.
Something to be proud of, for sure. That's awesome. Do you find that there's been one experience that you learned the most from these partnerships? Not trying to put anyone above the other, but
I think I've learned a lot from Soho House, because I mean, global communities and creatives and finance people, everyone in different fields have asked me questions about my work, and there's been so much learning there.
Yeah, that's awesome. Very cool. And you said that when you're specifically talking about educating adults and just how to be more yourself, you mentioned lectures and going to them. Why do you find that to be so empowering?
Well, it's information, it's education. I believe in being part of the conversation, right? So if you're not kind of hearing what's happening and hearing what's going on and connecting to that, you kind of are in your own little bubble and world.
Right. Yeah, definitely. It seems like all of these places are, like you said, global. Is there a specific place in the world that's very inspiring to you?
Yes, I mean, Greece.
Yeah, your heritage.
Also Spain, Barcelona is an incredible city. I mean, everywhere I go is inspiring, because I get to meet new creatives and humans working in their passions, and that's what's the most important to me.
Yeah.
And as Brand Human grows and centering your brand grows, you know, it's to me, it's like there's nowhere we shouldn't be going at this point, because it's a really important time right now to make sure we understand that our differences aren't as vast as we think they are, and we're all interconnected. If there's anything Bliss and I have learned over the years with centering your brand, is that there's just like deeply connected human issues around creativity, and like, we're just really passionate about helping creatives bring their work to life.
Yeah.
And making it really work, making you make money, making it be the thing you live on. Right.
That's awesome. This is, I think, a great question from Christina, and I might have a guess as to your answer. Jasmine, who do you look up to?
Who do I look up to? I look up to so many people. That's a hard question. I don't actually want to say one, because there's so many, and I feel like at the end of the day, it's also always changing based on what I'm into at the moment. I would say, you know, I know this sounds like funny because we're at this conference, but Scott Belsky is someone I've always admired tremendously, and feel really honored to be part of the fold of his work here at 99U. But he's always been such a pioneer in design thinking and branding and connecting, and so it's one.
Yeah. That's a good answer. I thought you were going to say Bliss, for sure.
Well, obviously.
Yeah, that's a great question. Chat, let us know if there's someone specific that you look up to, either in the creative community or just in your personal life. Give us some stories. I'd love to hear. I know I have 3% battery left. Maybe I can get a charger from over there, perhaps. But yeah,
I love that they can see that.
I know, I'm like, don't look. We have about 5-ish minutes left.
Okay.
So chat, if you have questions, feel free to get them in soon, because Jasmine will flutter away afterwards, off to do her own thing. I'd love to hear a little bit more about the masterclass.
Sure.
What did you want people to come away with afterwards?
I wanted people to come away with a framework for how to allow inspiration.
Yeah.
That's really what I worked on. I also worked on, trying to inspire through actually my design, the slides and the principles, because they are so high design.
Yeah.
Like ode to hours and boundaries and these ideas that Michael and I really worked on the design intentionally.
Yeah.
So just to be actually inspired by those visuals as well. But that's what I really aim to do is give a framework.
Yeah.
Because I think it's a bit absurd to tell people what inspires them, because it's so individual.
Yeah, definitely. And giving them that practical kind of tool.
Yeah, exactly.
Is amazing.
Jasmine,
Yes.
come to my home in Greece and I will barbecue a lamb for you. Oh my God, you're so cute.
A single lamb.
Done, girl, email me.
So sweet. Email me, not kidding.
I'm so happy there's someone from Greece tuning in. It's such
Heck
an incredible
yeah.
place with so many creatives. Athens is booming right now with so much interesting creativity.
That's great to hear.
Yeah, absolutely, it is wonderful.
Yeah, I was going to ask anywhere specifically globally where you feel like people are just doing things differently. Everywhere. I mean, New York City, Berlin, Barcelona. I mean, everyone's doing things differently in different ways and different touch points, right? It's like also doing things differently depending on who you're talking to, right? Yeah.
It's like such a huge thing. But I get what you mean.
Yeah,
I would say
definitely.
to all of the people listening at all times to travel as much as you can, all the
Okay.
time.
Yeah.
To be connected to other people in the world, to understand that you can learn so much from traveling.
Yeah, right. Do you think that there's something specific that you've really taken away from traveling? Kind of that big?
I mean, it's created my entire personality. I mean,
You
I think,
yeah.
I think that on a lot of levels, like, it's exposure, right? Understanding and seeing color, textures, smells, things that you wouldn't normally see.
Yeah.
You know, when you change perspective, you change the work, you evolve
Yeah.
the work.
Right,
So traveling is perspective. It's new perspective. It's new moments. It's new connection.
right.
Yeah.
So do you remember the first place that you traveled that really opened your eyes to like, oh, there's more?
Morocco.
Interesting.
When I was quite young, 21, I traveled that country for about a month with Moroccan royalty, actually, and was very eye-opening and very different, and had to sort of relearn how to do all things because it was different, just customs of way of being, and when you have to kind of change your way of being, you respect other people's ways of being, and knowing and understanding that though they might be different, there's nothing better or worse about yours versus theirs, and again, the interconnectivity of us as all humans is powerful.
Yeah, definitely. Ricardo's saying Portugal, very inspiring.
Yeah, Portugal's incredible.
Awesome. Eric says Utah, we are all very weird here.
Totally. Utah's great.
I like it. Nice. Alexandra says, I'll let my boss know that I can take advantage of going to off in Barcelona.
Yeah, absolutely.
Very nice. Have you been?
Defend your creativity. Yes, defend your creativity with your boss, and tell them why you need to go places. It's important.
Awesome. Cool. So we are just about wrapping up.
Great, cool.
I feel like I'm bursting with inspiration after chatting with you. So thank you
wonderful.
for being here. Yeah, chat if you want to
So
check
great.
out Jasmine's work online. There's Brand Human Method, Candor. Wait for the podcast to be released
absolutely.
soon. And we will be back in pretty soon. Maybe we can pop up the schedule, or we're going to go to... Awesome. Let's see what's happening next. Power of practice and collaboration, and then we're going to chat about the Adobe Creative Residence as well. So come back in a few, everyone. We will be back.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Yeah, tell me anything. I recommend like having